I know from the outside, especially being a Florida kid, and like my first experience with working with bands or touring with bands was in 2008. So by that time, Mayday was already a little bit established and kind of like the not hometown because we were in different hometowns, but it was a known name. And it was like, oh shit, yeah, they're from Florida. And I remember I did a podcast with Tim from Under Oath, and I found this such an interesting moment. But to me, I remember A Lesson in Romantics, and I remember from the outside how crazy that was. But for your experience, like, did you have a moment where it went from being like, cool, like I'm playing music with my friends that I really believe in, and like this is so sick. And I don't think we planned too far into it. It's probably just like the, oh, sweet, hopefully one day we can tour, whatever. Did you have a moment, or like, did you have, as you guys were writing a specific song or playing a specific show, like, did you kind of have a moment where you're like, oh, fuck, this might work? Like, oh.
It's funny because we actually did an interview not long ago where this was kind of asked, and I couldn't really, it's so difficult to pinpoint a moment. I feel like it was a collection of things, and a couple of things. I think when I like listening to some of the songs Jason had written leading up to recording A Lesson in Romantics, especially Jamie All Over, that was a moment where it's like, oh, like that's a really fucking good song. And kind of like, once again, it was so pure at that moment because it's like, I just really like this.
Yeah.
Like, if they don't like it, fuck them. Like, if I just really like this.
Yeah.
And then I think once we started touring, like right out of the gate, we formed in 2005 and then started touring in first thing we did was following Warped Tour in 2006.
Yep.
Selling CDs. And I think,
y'all had like you had a name for that, right? Like that band that works hard. Like y'all followed the tour, sold a fuck ton of CDs. Yeah.
That was like a thing, right?
Right.
I think doing that though, I think I got so in the weeds, to use your saying, like, of the nitty gritty, like money, like how are we gonna get, make enough money? How are we going to like keep this going? And because that first little bit, it was all about being self-sufficient and being we were all very DIY minded. Like labels are the devil. Like they will come in and fuck everything up for an artist. So all we need to do is just figure out how to be self-sufficient on the road. Everyone we're all 19 or 20, 21. We all would love nothing more than just to live off of $5 a day. That's totally cool. Living in a van with your best buds. That's totally fine. We can do that. We just have to figure out how we can make money, like how we can, keep this growing and make money to print shirts and print our EP and put gas in the van and pay back Derek's dad for buying the van and making sure, buying the trailer and everything. And also too, I think another kind of little anecdote that is telling is maybe within a week of us following Warped Tour, we got into an accident where we had hired a friend of ours named Justin and another friend, a girl. Their jobs were strictly to drive back and forth. They would alternate. We were driving in Wisconsin. A deer jumped out in front of the van. They swerved, and in the process, luckily the van was fine, but the trailer rolled. And there's a lot of other things, but essentially the trailer just had our EP in it, and the trailer was completely fucked. A bunch of our EPs were now shattered across the highway. And being woken up that morning, and then that's already insane. And then stepping outside and seeing, your EP being run over by semis was pretty like, oh shit. But at that moment, it's crucial to understand. Sorry if this is like too in the weeds.
No, please.
We were still needed to pay off the van. Derek's father had bought the van, basically fronted the money. We needed to pay off the trailer. We had gotten the EPs printed on spec because Defining Moment, Cabby Brooks and Derek's old band, they had done literally the same thing the year previous with Defining Moment, and were able, like they made enough money easily to pay off the EP. So the guy Walter at Imprint Records and a company in Florida, he was like, "Yeah, fuck yeah, I'll print you guys these EPs on spec, and then you guys pay me back when you have the money. Like, I trust you."
Sick.
So it was like we're probably in the whole at the onset $20,000 or so,
which is
Yeah.
insane.
And once again, we were paying each other, I think 10 cents or something like a CD sold. Yeah. So we were living off of like literally $5 a day.
Yeah.
20 grand is everything. And to immediately within a week have something that could have ruined not only our lives, but more importantly at the moment, like what we're trying to build was scary. So then it really, really got into hyperdrive of like, no, this is a business. Like this is something that we have to really be accountable for. And, now there's really no room for error. And luckily the music was good enough that, things were happening for the band that it worked out. But I think the more common story for bands is that that it doesn't catch on and they're not able to.
Wait, but this is insane. So what EP was that?
That was the Tales Told by Dead Friends EP that we printed ourselves. This was before we were signed or anything. Yeah.
Holy shit. Okay, so then you lose all the EPs.
Not all of them. Luckily, I mean, only we had printed maybe 20,000 of them or 15,000 or something like that.
Yeah.
And only like a couple hundred.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. So it was enough of like oh fuck, this could have ruined everything.
Right.
And that lit a fire.
I mean, it really could have ruined it. It gets kind of crazier, this story. We had another band with us following us, selling our CDs. We kind of like hired this other band to help us out.
Brilliant.
And the whole agreement was like, you help us out, we'll fund your recording of your EP or whatever.
Wow.
And they were like, fuck yeah. So there were 2 vans, 2 trailers. They had a better trailer, they had a better trailer than we did. The other part of the story is that while we were selling our CD on Warped Tour, we were also doing showcases for labels.
Wow.
So we had to carry our gear as well. We played maybe 3 or 4 shows total over the span of 2 months that Warped Tour happens all across the country.
Yeah.
We did a showcase for Fearless in LA.
Yeah.
We were going to do one for Victory in Chicago, but they never showed.
Yeah.
We actually were playing the Battle of the Bands for Warped Tour in Jacksonville. So anyway, we had to carry our gear.
Yeah.
Luckily, this is by stroke of, God's good grace. We were like, oh, our van is better. We'll carry this. I can't remember the circumstances exactly, but we were like, we'll switch trailers. Other band, you guys carry our gear. We'll carry the CDs and like clothes or whatever, right, like all
merch,
the dumb shit that we don't really shit, it was for weight distribution purposes or something.
Yeah.
So our trailer was one that got fucked, which was the one that we were carrying was the one that got fucked, which just had CDs and some clothes.
Wow.
The trailer with our gear, which would have been because none of that would have survived.
No.
You know what I mean? These were CDs, and you know how those boxes are, like tightly packed.
Yep. Yeah.
So it could have been a lot worse. I mean, we could have been killed, really. But,
right. Damn, that's nuts that you have like such a specific moment though, where you're like, this thing, like during this, it made you realize so much of like, all right, it's game time.
Yeah. Yeah. And to the passion part, I think I really, really, really loved like keeping the ledgers and, and seeing the money come in and the money go out and seeing something grow. I was so much more fired up about that than anything I was doing previous in my life. You know what I mean?
It's funny. Like you said that and you like unlocked a part of me that I remembered so well was at that specific time in that music era, it almost was a formula. And it was this unspoken, but like you said, like we had to have enough money for merch and enough money for CDs and enough money to pay Derek's dad back for the van. Mm-hmm. But it was like, so like now you worry about going viral on the internet. You worry about this, this, like there was this weird moment where it was almost just like a math equation. Was if we can get to this many shows and have this many CDs and sell them with enough time and enough people that we talk to, we can sell this many, sell shirts, and every sale got you that little bit more in the gas tank, got you that little bit more to feed you, and got you to the next city. And you just kept doing it and doing it and doing it. And it wasn't even like there was a master plan saying at the end of this, you'll have enough fans to support yourself.
Right.
It was just, if we do all this and do this math problem right, we can go around the country and pay for it.
Yep.
And then by that, so many bands came up through it. And I don't think in that era we understood that. It was purely just this simple math equation of economics of like,
oh yeah,
I don't know. It just like totally awakened something in me of remembering that.
Well, what you're saying too, I remember, I mean, that summer was easy. I mean, it's funny. I don't think I picked up guitar hardly at all that summer. But what I did do was learn, hell, I could sell anyone anything because you just basically pressure people into buying your EP.
Right.
And they do. And then you're like, all right, cool. I've contributed to our gas money, to our paying off our debts. And hopefully they'll actually listen to the CD that they bought. And, and, you know, and to go a little bit further, the other side of it, you know, that's the cynical, like just make money to pay off your debts. Yeah. The other side of it is that fall we toured with Wheatus. That was our first like actual our first actual tour. But I remember going to Seattle, playing a show in Seattle, and there were maybe like 3 or 4 people there that had bought our CD on Warped Tour when we had sold it at the Gorge in Washington. That was like, fuck, this is okay, awesome. Like that's what more could you want? You know, like we have some fans in like literally the furthest we could be from our home in, you know, the continental US. That was cool.
It's insane. And I also love, like, I don't know if you realize this, but again, like being that band that then followed your blueprint, like when this was with Set It Off and the early days of them, you guys made a blueprint. Like it was like did you hear that Mayday Parade sold this many CDs at this Warped Tour? And then it was like, did you hear that if you sell enough CDs, Kevin Lyman will notice you and he'll put you on this stage. Did you hear that Mayday Parade did this? And it was like this accidental like folklore of like this thing. And I can't imagine you understood that you were making a blueprint or doing anything. It had to have just been.
I mean, a lot of it, I think it was really Brooks, Derek, and Cabby coming, you know, stumbling upon this formula that worked for them in defining a moment. I mean, it was just like, I don't know, you figure out the cheat code and
that's
like if I just press this,
that's totally it though, right? You're like, if I just sell this many CDs, and it's not like you're being some piece of shit forcing people to buy it. But
I will say that, but
well, but like, okay, even that, check me out. Like that skill of like learning how to fearlessly talk to people and be like, listen, I know you don't want this. Right. You're here to see your favorite band, but like, I need to sell this CD to get to the like, it's not like you're out here forcing kids to buy cigarettes or something like that. Like you're selling music that you believe in.
Right.
Like,
yes. Yeah. They're right.
Thank you. Right. Like, but
I needed that.
That's a foundational skill too. Like, I think that like, I just, that for me, like what you're explaining in those moments, if you were to really have gone back and told me that those moments would be the college of my life, I'd be like, really? Like, you don't really think about it. You're just kind of like, oh, well, we want to get to this city and we have this much of this shirt and like, please buy it, whatever. And I didn't expect us to get into that with this interview, but like, I find that so interesting because you guys really did pioneer and prove this magic little equation at that time. And that ended up leading to quite a lot of success, didn't it?
I'm certainly proud of this aspect of the band, is that at that moment, at the end of Warped Tour 2006, I remember conversations that we had. We were being courted by 3 or so labels and having the conversation of like, do we need to be on a label? And it was so empowering and it felt so great to have that, because at that time in music for bands like us, it was getting roped into these upstreaming contracts, and
deals were bad.
Yeah, deals were awful.
Bad.
And because, I mean, it makes sense. As a band, you have no leverage.
None.
You're children, you know, dealing with professionals, and
you needed physical goods. You needed physical distribution.
Exactly.
That was a very difficult thing to figure out. Yeah. You're paying a fucking fortune to record albums. You can't self-produce this. Like,
no, right. Exactly. And that is an interesting aspect of this too, of my view regarding Spotify and even before Spotify, regarding illegal downloading. And in a lot of ways, it's incredible how cheap it is now to make music.
Yes.
And it's super empowering for the artist, which I'm all for that.
Yeah.
And I think it is good for consumer. It's great for consumers in that they can obviously get get the music for free in a lot of ways or for nominal price.
Yeah.
But they also get a more diversity of music, which I think is great. Obviously, there are many issues with how artists are paid, but that's a whole other thing. Yeah.
Yeah, no, but it's wild. It's really interesting to go back to that time, and your come up in music and that era is a really interesting thing to look back and reflect on, because so much really has changed.
Oh, yeah.
But I think that's why I have so much respect for the band. And hearing this is so interesting to me, because you were just early enough where for that whole wave, you really did kind of pioneer something. And now to really jump forward, I think something that's really stood out to me is just like how much you have, I don't even know how to say it. Like, I'm thinking of literally like your stage setup, and I'm thinking of how clean and dialed everything is and how on point all of that is. And I just, maybe the feeling is that, to me, your band has always set the example. Hey, it's Andrew, the host of Where Are All My Friends? I hope you liked that clip. If you did, the full episode is out now. You can watch or listen to it anywhere where podcasts are available, and probably wherever you found this clip. So go check it out.